There's nothing more fulfilling or powerful for achieving your goals in life than waking up each day filled with a sense of purpose and mission. Hi, this is Dane Spots. If your life isn't filled with a passion and excitement, just experiencing being alive, then you're missing out on something really important. In this very special audio workshop, we're going to discuss this idea of mission and explore an underlying principle around which to organize your life. The concept of creating an organizing principle may be the most powerful thing you'll ever do for yourself, because it will shape your life automatically and provide a clarity and focus that awakens unbelievable hidden forces to drive your daily activities. This is a very unique audio program, unlike anything you've ever received from me or from any other company before, because it's not just about having conversation. So let me take a moment first to explain how this program is organized and how you can use its processes to explore your passions and direct your life journey in positive and fulfilling ways. On the first side of this tape, I'm going to talk with you about this idea of life mission and help you understand a process for creating an underlying principle around which to organize your life. We're going to go through a conscious process for exploring your feelings and options, and by the end of this discussion, you should have a very solid tool you can immediately employ in your life to set new directions. Now, this may appear as if this is only a discussion about work or career, but it's actually much broader than that. We in the Western world tend to define mission as our career or job, and so that's the primary context of how people will use this tool. However, work doesn't just mean money-making or career-related activities. Perhaps you'll discover your passion takes you into directions that have very little to do with money-making activities, and your existing job or career life is simply a support system for your true higher purpose. Anyway, you'll figure it out later, especially as you go through the unconscious mind-probing process on side 2 of this tape. On the flip side of this cassette, you'll discover a very unique soundtrack I put together that uses a number of different technologies, including alpha, theta level of consciousness, guided imagery, visioneering technology, and affirmations. The process is designed to activate your unconscious mind and open up a channel to your inner voice, which can provide you with an incredible source of clarity and wisdom where you can explore new possibilities and life directions that ultimately will lead you to write a life plan of purpose or mission. So to begin, listen to the rest of this discussion on side 1 and do the conscious exercises I'm going to talk about. It will lay the groundwork in your unconscious for what's going to occur with your Supermind session. At the completion of this mini workshop, you should have a powerful personal philosophy and a step-by-step method for defining your life plan in writing. Then when you've completed this and are ready to move forward, turn over this cassette for the final stage of your journey. Okay, let's begin. There are 3 aspects to the active conscious part of this program. The first is an understanding of what I call the principle of choice. The second is the creation of an underlying principle around which you'll organize your life. And third, once you're aware of the principle of choice and the master principle around which your actions are to be organized, the third step is to make the changes necessary in your life that will align your activities, both personal and professional, around your path of purpose. So then, step 1 is to get an understanding of the principle of choice. Because if you don't get this at a core level, then the rest of this exercise will be extremely difficult. Norman Vincent Peale had this to say about the power of choice. The greatest power we have is the power of choice. It's an actual fact that if you've been moping in unhappiness, you can choose to be joyous instead, and by effort lift yourself into joy. If you tend to be fearful, you can overcome that misery by choosing to have courage. Even in the darkest grief, you have a choice. The whole trend and quality of anyone's life is determined in the long run by the choices that are made. How true, isn't it? Choosing is the most important activity of your mind. Why? Because it creates a focus. Every choice we make sets into motion powerful hidden forces in the universe that cause those choices to become reality. A choice made in the mind gives instruction to your subconscious autopilot to make it so. Indecision not only creates stress and confusion, but it's like having one foot on the accelerator and the other foot on the brake. The subconscious or unconscious mind doesn't question your decisions. Only your conscious mind does. The unconscious simply carries out whatever instructions you give to it. So it's important to be precise and to choose your thoughts carefully. It's also important that you recognize the power of choice in the context of this discussion, especially when doing the next step, which is to create an underlying guiding principle around which your life will be organized. And it's your ability to listen to your intuitive voice and follow up on it that will create true power of purpose in your actions. The choices in life become your goals. If it's truly what you desire and it fits your higher purpose, then there's no reason why you can't have it. None whatsoever. But beware of asking others to make your choices for you, or for that matter, patterning your choices in life around what others expect you to be, or what you think you should be, based on how you measure your life against someone else's. To thy own self be true. What's right for someone else may not be right for you. And the way you'll know that is by checking in with your own inner voice, which I'll get to later on in this program. It's been said many times and in many ways, but the primary law of the universe is this: whatever you give your attention to will become your experience. You have free will. Your life is simply the result of the choices you make, and the primary law of the universe is that the reality we experience is based on what we focus our thoughts upon. Due to the time constraints of this mini workshop, I'm not going to go into an in-depth discussion on why this is so. I'm asking you to accept this premise. You'll be able to test it out for yourself in the real world as you put these ideas into practice. So, moving on then. If you accept this idea, then assume you had an overriding thought or a guiding principle, if you will, around which your entire life is organized. And assume that this thought is very specific in nature, something easy for you to articulate into words and feelings. A motto, perhaps, a poem, or just a simple statement that becomes you. If your life were a movie, think of this as your theme song. Around it, you will shape your life's activities. This underlying principle, or theme song, if you will, becomes the foundation on which you will build your life's experiences, and it creates the motivation for fulfilling your purpose. Now, don't assume that this is an oversimplification, because frankly, it is the process. Literally, if you create an organizing principle around which to shape your life, and it resonates at the very core of your being so that you think of it every day, you'll begin to live it automatically. And it will become you and you it. I know because I walk it myself every single hour of the day. Let's do a quick mini exercise that calls up some of the feelings associated with creating this underlying guiding principle. And then I'd like to tell you about a simple process I used some 12 years ago that guided me on my personal path and has opened up many doors of possibility in my life. What I'd like you to do is to go back in your memory and remember a time when you had a super clear sense of purpose in your life. Maybe this was when you were in high school or college and you participated in sports or drama club, or perhaps a time when you were deeply in love or planning to get married, or maybe you decided on a career path or just purchased a new home. It doesn't matter what the incident was, but pick some tangible period in your life where you were extremely focused on one thing, and you were very clear about what you were doing and why you were doing it. No distractions or difficult decision-making. Your choice was clear. Okay, do you remember such an incident? Now, focus for a moment on your emotions. How did you feel about your life during that time? Were you happy? If so, why? How sure were you at that moment about your future? How passionate and excited were you that very moment you realized your choice was the right one? Did you feel an overwhelming sense of purpose and meaning? If you conjured up a past memory during the last few seconds and you looked at it carefully, I'll bet you relived a peak experience of extreme emotional clarity and sense of purpose. With that kind of clarity and focus, and the resulting passion and excitement, is the result of having a clearly defined sense of purpose which overrides all of their daily distractions. The world could be getting nuked, but you simply don't care because you're in love or you're receiving a standing ovation in your school play. When you're acting out your specific desires and it fits your higher sense of self, you're in a mental space where life takes on a new color and meaning. The grass seems greener and the sky a little bluer, and you feel incredibly alive. The reason? Because your mind is plugged into doing specific actions which support a strong sense of purpose. You're living it, not just thinking it. This is an important idea because it's at the center of being alive, and it maximizes your personal power in life. Living your purpose is like this, a feeling that every day is an adventure along your path of fulfillment. Believe it or not, there are people who every day go about their lives with a passion for living and a clarity of purpose that guides them throughout their day. And because they have this overriding principle that guides their life, they're impervious to life's little roadblocks and misadventures. Any detours are seen not as major roadblocks or hindrances, but as little lessons to be relished along the path of higher purpose. A couple of years ago, I remember renting the movie Joe versus the Volcano. Perhaps you've seen it. Well, there was this one scene I'll never forget. Joe, played by Tom Hanks, was out in a ship in the middle of the ocean with Meg Ryan. Tom Hanks' character Joe was a guy who led this really dreary, unadventureful life until he met up with Meg Ryan's character and her father, who sent them on this mission around the world. Anyway, while this guy was experiencing adventure for the first time in his miserable life, Meg Ryan said to Tom Hanks' character, Joe, something her father had told her, and it was this: 99% of the people on earth are asleep, and the 1% that is awake is in a constant state of amazement. Becoming awake and aware of the incredible dance of life going on all around you is the most empowering of life's experiences. And when you're directed and experiencing life fully is when you feel the most awake. So what is it that directs these individuals and gives them such personal power? Well, because they have a clear sense of mission, of what they want and what they're about, a core guiding principle, if you will, there's no confusion about what actions to take. Such individuals are more focused and able to accomplish much more in less time because they aren't working at cross purposes with themselves or concerned about how others see them. They're in motion. Now, as we grow, activities and goals can change and they can evolve, but usually the underlying principles do not. My personal goals have changed and evolved throughout the years and through a process of constant refinement, but the underlying principle around which I have organized my life has not. It's not important right now that you create the definitive mission statement, but rather that you start to make choices in a general sense around a basic underlying purpose and check in with your inner voice periodically as to the rightness of those choices. Over a period of weeks or months, it will become clearer and clearer for you. Just a footnote here. This isn't a goal-setting exercise. Goals are fine and a way of defining and accomplishing specific desires. But your sense of purpose or life mission is bigger than a goal. It truly is a master guiding principle. To give you an idea of how powerful this idea is, let me tell you my own personal story and how I use this in my life to create not just a business, but what has truly become my life's work in a way that has totally blurred the line between my private and professional life. Most of my days are spent playing in my sandbox I created for myself. My hobby and my business have become one. My lifelong learning quest and my business have become one. And so for the most part, I spend my day doing many of the things I would want to do anyway, and deriving satisfaction beyond just making a living. This is the idea of doing what you love and loving what you do, which I'll talk more about in a minute. First, here's my story. I left home at age 16. I dropped out of high school and began working some of the worst unskilled labor jobs you can imagine. By age 19, I was earning $3 an hour